It's been more than a year since the outbreak. It took from me everyone I loved. If you get bitten, you become one of them. But not me. I didn't know why I was special, and I didn't care. Just glad I wouldn't still be walking around when I was dead. But I wouldn't endure the pain of being eaten alive. If it came to that, I'd bite down on the capsule and be gone in seconds. But I'd run out of food and water, and my last barricade had fallen. There was an abandoned truck at the local gas station. I had to get to it. A feeling of satisfaction came over me as I mowed them down, one after another. I guess it felt like justice. I drove for what seemed like forever. At some point, who knows why, I tried the radio. That's when I heard the signal. It sounded like a message, but it was so faint, I couldn't make out the words. I tried to slow down, but the brakes weren't there. Running down all those zombies must have taken its toll. I needed a proper radio. There was a police station up ahead. Maybe they still had working equipment. The station was in bad shape. Like somebody had made their last stand there. There was an officer who no longer needed his radio. Amidst the static and interference, I could almost make out a word or two. Almost. I needed to get to higher ground. It was going to be a walk in the park. The skyscrapers had once stood tall and proud, above and beyond it all. But they couldn't stand against the flames that now tore through their foundations, melting their frames from the inside. One building was untouched by the hellfire, but the flames were drawing ever closer. I had to hurry. Finally, the signal was clear. An automated message urging survivors to establish contact through an emergency channel. I spent hours repeating my name and location, desperately hoping for an answer. Finally, the reply came.
It is good to hear your voice, Miss Blake. It seems that you are unaffected by the virus. That is an extremely rare condition. Some even say impossible. You should be thankful. My name is Dr. Morden, and I work for Egogate Pharmaceutical. I am sure you have heard of us. We are conducting research into a cure at a secure facility. Your life is far more important than you may realize. But though you may be immune to the virus now, it's only a matter of time before it mutates.
So what do you want?
Your DNA holds half of the key to a cure. The other belongs to the first victim of the virus, Patient Zero. His name was Douglas Bain. He was treated at a hospital not far from your current position. Go there, find the medical records, and locate his body.
As I was closing in on the hospital, I called Dr. Morden back. Tell me, Doc, what's 3 times your size, has machetes for hands, and skin as tough as a rock?
I couldn't say, Miss Blake. I'm not privy to every bioweapon experiment the government conjured up to fight the epidemic.
Damn thing almost cut me into pieces.
Just get me the tissue sample, Miss Blake. I will talk to you then.
There were a few bodies here and there, but the place had obviously been abandoned for some time. I started going through the patient records. There it was. Douglas Bain, DOA, cause of death unknown. Body transferred without autopsy to Grim Lake Cemetery, Site 3B, by order of National Biohazard Containment Unit. As I started to dig, I remember hoping the body would still be in a condition to be of use. But I should have guessed they'd never leave Patient Zero buried. The body had been moved. The tracks headed toward a railroad. I had to follow the trail. The transport was gone, but every ship's transponder signal was relayed to the head of Port Authority. The last entry in the logs detailed a vessel commandeered by the military, headed for Ravensfield Airport to the north. Since every ship in the port was trashed, the only choice was to follow the highway. It was in bad shape, with pile-ups as far as the eye could see. With any luck, it was still traversable by foot. It was gonna be a long walk. Whatever the Army had planned, their operation had been cut short. The container had leaked. I finally got my sample, and a fully fueled ride out of there. The Army had planned to wipe out the infection by deploying nukes. The warheads were armed, so I hit the button. I flew for a long time. Everywhere looked the same. A dead world. A secluded underground bunker sounded as good a place as any. After hours of flying, I finally approached the Ego Gate facility. They were probably going to push and prod me for the rest of my life, but I was tired of running and hiding.
So, Ms. Blake, did you get me my tissue sample?
Yeah, here's your sample. Dr. Morden then signaled the lab technicians, and I was ushered into a bio-container, a lot like the one I found Patient Zero in. The doc told me they'd found a way to fuse my DNA with that of Patient Zero's, turning me into a living source for the cure. But I guess that's what they told everyone. There was no cure. I was to become a bioweapon like the others before me, immune to the virus, programmed, obedient. Of course, they didn't know about the cyanide capsule, still hidden in my mouth. Since I was no good to them dead, I bit down hard. When I flatlined, Dr. Morden rushed to open my container. But he was right. The virus had mutated, and I was no longer immune. He was my first kill.